Anyways, this is what you came here for. The Rudy Gobert trade. This trade went down when we were recording last. So unfortunately, it's like a week old. But this trade, the ripple effects for it, I think, are massive. James, when you first heard about this trade, what was your first thought? Before we get into any of the details, just like hit you, what was your first reaction? Like WTF, OMG,
Definitely
smiley face?
WTF. My first thought is the same thought that I have now, to be honest with you, which is that the Timberwolves overpaid. Now, I mean, that was kind of the popular sentiment, and I'm seeing a lot of pushback on that lately, and I get it. And it's not a knock on Gobert, right? I'm not saying that Gobert isn't excellent. He is, but I still think it was an overpay, though.
Yeah. So let's actually just get into the price so we can contextualize the overpay. So Timberwolves received Rudy Gobert, who is like a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year winner. Honestly, could maybe have more, but people hate giving it to people all the time. In terms of like advanced metrics, advanced defensive metrics, he's been like a consistent top 15 player for the last like 3-4 years. He's obviously an incredibly good player. But the Jazz, this is what the Jazz got for Rudy Gobert, the Stifle Tower, the French rejection. What's another one? I don't know. Anyways, they got Malik Beasley, good NBA player. Patrick Beverly, good NBA player. Leandro Bolmaro, not a good NBA player. Walker Kessler, who is the number 22 pick in this draft. James and I believe you're not a big fan of his.
Not a big fan, no.
Me neither, but a lot of projection systems that use stats love him because his block rate is like the best they've like in modern college history.
Yeah, but he's a hunter, right? He's basically the white Hassan Whiteside. Maybe we can call him Hassan
Okay.
Blackside or something. Yeah, but he hunts blocks at the expense of defensive positioning, right? That's the common knock, and I noticed it too. But anyway,
point being, they got 4 more years of team control at the 22nd pick, so it's not
sure,
nothing.
Yeah.
Jared Vanderbilt, also a pretty good player.
Yep,
maybe the best player in this. I'm not
probably.
100. Yeah. They also get a 2023 first round, 2025 first round, 2026 pick swap, 2027 first round, and 2029 first round. I forget the protections on all of them, but I
don't think there's any.
I think you're right. I think there are no protections on these picks. So this is not a James Harden situation, but in terms of overall value, this is very, 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 very close to the James Harden trade.
They might have gotten as much, man. Frankly, like, how old is Beasley? I know Beasley has his warts. He's not a perfect player, but he's like 25, right? Vanderbilt's like 22, 23, I think. Like, and he's a really solid defensive player, man. He doesn't offer a whole lot on offense, but like, he's a valuable rotation piece, though. And they got 4 picks in a swap. So I mean,
let's get to it. Sounds like you really like what the Jazz got.
Oh yeah, I think the Jazz killed it. The only question for me now with the Jazz is like, okay, so you just took a package that clearly makes you worse in the short term, right? But puts you in a far better situation in the long term. So what is the next move? Like, does this portend a Mitchell trade or not? Because like they could try to sell him on a retool on the fly type of situation, but like, easier said than done, man. Like, what are they going to go back and flip all those pieces or what? I'm not really sure, but on a straight value basis, they crushed it. So I think I give them an A+. I'll give the Timberwolves a B.
So I actually agree on the Jazz side of the deal with you. I think everyone would go, this is a great return, right? Like, this is about the maximum return you can get for a player without also getting like a young all-star back. And I think like that's like one of the things that people are overlooking. A lot of these massive trades, a young potential future all-star tends to be within those trades, right? Like, look at the Anthony Davis trade. Davis also had 1 more year left on his deal. I think is a better player than Gobert at that time. But like, we're talking about still like 2 really, really high-end players. They got Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and Josh Hart, along with picks. Did I forget anything? But they got a guy who's a second overall pick, who in Lonzo Ball, who's like considered to be an elite role player, and Brandon Ingram, who people believe can be, and I think will be, an all-star. And Josh Hart is a really, really good player who's making a bunch of money because he's good. And then they also got a bunch of fucking draft picks that like weren't
but less
super
draft
protected.
capital. It's worth noting. What do they get? 2 or 3 picks?
Well, they got the
picks?
4th overall pick, and then they got, that 2024 pick that they can push back to 2025, and then they got their pick this year, which ended up being what, like the 7th,
I think.
8th
Or
pick?
maybe, yeah. Well, who did they pick with the 4th pick?
They fucked up.
I'm blanking on that. Yeah.
I think they fucked up. But the point being is that they've gotten the 4th pick, the 8th pick, 2 number 2 overall, and 2 second overall picks, and then they still have another pick coming. I mean, in terms of just like draft slot, what the Pelicans got, absurdly valuable. But let's be real, like they didn't give up any great players, so they had to give up a lot of great picks. But I really think Minnesota hit it out of the park conceptually, landing Gobert. And the reason being is, what do we know about Rudy Gobert, James? What is he the best at in the NBA?
Rim protection, baby.
And what is he maybe also the best at that isn't as sexy as rim protection?
Setting screens?
Defensive rebounding.
True. Yeah, true.
Right. And also maybe setting screens, right?
Right. So, I mean, he's good. He is good. Yeah, we
like,
just named 3 things he might be the best in the league at.
Right. And one of them we can like basically say for certain he's probably the best rim protector.
That's right.
And saying he's the best defensive rebounder, I don't think many people are going to fight you on that. Considering how good he's at blocking shots, it's incredible he can rebound the way he does. But Minnesota last season had the 4th worst defensive rebounding rate. They had the highest foul rate. They gave up the 10th most shots at the rim and the 5th highest shooting percentage. But they still had the 13th rated defense, essentially tied with the Milwaukee Bucks. Rudy Gobert basically comes in to the 13th ranked defense and takes all of the shit they were bad at and probably will make them really good at. From that standpoint alone, I know everyone's like freaking out at the cost. I know people hate players that generate most of their value on defense, and Rudy Gobert is that type of player. But like, if we just look at what the fucking Timberwolves were really fucking bad at, and we look at what Rudy Gobert is really fucking good at, it makes conceptually a lot of sense. But I think we got to get to the next part, which I hope you're about to jump in with. The fit between him and Karl Anthony Towns on offense and defense. Yeah,
that is what I'm about to jump in.
The hang up.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not such a horrible fit that I'm like, it's gonna, I don't know, sink the team in some way. Like there's some sense in it. There's especially some sense in it when you look at the half court offense, right? Like Towns can play the 4 from the perspective of half court offense, right?
Yeah,
I mean, Towns could probably play the friggin' 2 if he really wanted to, right? like his skill set wise, it's no problem. But it's the same problems that you run into with any Twin Towers group. It's like they're gonna struggle in transition, and realistically, one of them is getting played off the floor by good teams in the playoffs. Like, it's just hard to run 2 big dudes like that. I mean, realistically, the problem is going to be that Towns can't contain some perimeter oriented forward, and so you got to either slot him to the 5 and take Gobert off to keep your offense flowing, or you got to take him out altogether, and then you lose Karl Anthony Towns, so like, I think that it's the move raised their floor, and I do respect like going out and acquiring talent and getting better after kind of a pretty successful season, but I think it lowers the ceiling to a point where like I just can't help but wonder if they'd gotten DeJounte Murray or Ben Simmons, so like a better point of attack defender to beef up the defense if that would have worked out better,
I don't like looking at what they're willing to give up for Rudy Gobert and looking at what had to be given up to get DeJounte Murray for the Hawks from the Spurs. I just go, man, like, why not? Maybe the hang up was this. They wanted to offer D'Angelo Russell, and the Spurs were like, absolutely fucking not. And if that's like the situation, I understand. But like, I just gotta think like, man, like, pay what it costs to get fucking DeJounte Murray, because you've been wanting another point guard. He seems like a perfect fit for the team. I do think some of the fit concerns though are a little overstated. And I think, as you said, like on offense, like last season, like Karl Anthony Towns was spacing the floor for a non-shooter. Like, and that's the spot that Gobert is going to occupy. So on offense, that's not a huge issue. I also do think, and you hinted at this earlier, what's Gobert great at? Screen setting, baby. Right? D'Lo, he is a good pick and roll point guard that lacks athleticism. And if you put it in a situation where you can have Rudy Gobert be the rim runner, that vertical threat, that opens up a lot of space for him to make easy lobs to Gobert, get easy mid-range buckets, open up more driving lanes to hit guys on the outside, collapse the defense, kick it to Anthony Edwards, or play it to him on a cut. So I do think, in a sense, Rudy Gobert is a perfect center to pair with D'Angelo Russell, who was kind of your problem. You are like, Cat and Ant are going to be good in the playoffs, but D'Lo was a problem. Well, Rudy Gobert makes D'Lo better. Rudy Gobert also covers up all of our deficiencies. So I do think the only thing that concerns me, as you said, is like the 5-out spacing. And I go, that's true. But if you do go 5-out, Gobert is going to you can just be like, Gobert on offense. We're not going to punish teams with the whole like, oh, we got to give you the ball down low. We're just going to have you stand down low, get a bunch of offensive boards, and then the other small guy, because there's going to have to be a smaller guy than the guy on Gobert covering Karl Anthony Towns. He's going to exploit that mismatch in the post. So I could see that being the big difference where to me, what this really is, and I've been listening to a bunch of podcasts with it. I feel like when people heard this trade and they're like, they already have Karl Anthony Towns, why would they go get Rudy Gobert? And why would they give up so much? Everyone wanted to kill the trade. And so people have been talking about it from like a basketball fit, from being like, how will this not work? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe it won't work. Maybe it'll be too slow. Maybe it really will gum up the offense. Maybe they will get spread out too much. But on another side of it, I'm like, I think the basketball fit isn't the problem. I think it's just you gave up so fucking much for a guy who's 30 and about to be making $44 million a season till they're 44, till they're 34. And to that, that part of the deal wasn't great. But this is how it works in the NBA. You can't win every side of a trade, though.
That's true. That's true. But let me touch on a couple of bases before we probably move off this, right?
Yeah.
First of all, I don't see any reason why they couldn't have said to the Spurs, like, okay, never mind, we'll keep Russell and we'll give you the 4 draft picks or whatever for Murray, because D'Angelo Russell to me could be a great 6th man. I think he's a really solid 6th man archetype, right?
But what
they
about
could have kept Malik Beasley?
Money? Well, I guess Murray's not making anything. You could have just done Pat Bev in another
million
contract. Yeah,
exactly.
Ooh.
So right. They could have got Murray without giving up Russell, realistically. So I still don't like it from that point of view. The other thing is, if they thought, well, we just need a rim protecting big man too badly because Towns just really doesn't cut it that way, maybe that's justifiable. But I think they could have got Clint Capella for a 1st-round pick, or they could have got Nerlens Noel for like maybe a bunch of 2nd-round picks in a contract, so I still think they had better options than selling the whole farm for the best rim protector in the league, Dude, as good as he is. No. I'm not
going to stand and listen, or not sit and listen to you be like, you can't overpay for rim protection. Are you fucking insane?
I love rim protection, but come on.
I
love draft picks too. So
I know. Look, I agree with you. I do think they paid too much, but I also think this makes them a really, really good basketball team. This makes them a team that I think could make the Western Conference Finals. And if you can make the Western Conference Finals, as we saw with like the Miami Heat, you can maybe make the NBA Finals or be like really fucking close to it. And for the Timberwolves, that's a much bigger deal than it's not like the Lakers. It's like Lakers, you mortgaged your future to maybe make it out of the 2nd round. It's like, they're a different type of organization. Like, you can't do that if you're them.
You're right. Let's move it on.
Yeah. And I guess before, one final thing, there's people keep talking about a cap spike. So it could be in like a year or two, we look at that Gobert contract and they're kind of projecting out and they're like, maybe that it wasn't such a crazy, there's the contract isn't so bad in a few years, and like getting a guy who's locked in is actually like more valuable than we think, even though it looks bad right now. Yeah.
Yep, that's definitely a possibility too. Yeah,
Okay.
and like if they make it to the conference finals, I'm probably gonna have to turn around and say, you know what, it was worth it. I agree. So we'll see how it goes.
Hey man, I was the one that said the Timberwolves are going to finish fourth last year, and while I was wrong, I wasn't crazy wrong,
No, you
which
weren't as wrong as you could have been.
I know, which I was really scared of. I didn't want that to happen.